This grassy field behind my house has been a place of comfort and love, especially during the shutdown and the pandemic. The spaciousness of this place was one of the things that got me through. Now it's shifting. Here's the fence and here's the field. As I take a slow walk through the field now, I can hear red-winged blackbirds, a woodpecker in the distance. An osprey flew across a moment ago along this wildlife corridor. Oh, there's a robin in the path. And I'm seeing birds above me collecting nesting materials. Spring is here and nature is moving through its springtime cycle. To have a place that's been the giver of peace, the most comfortable, wonderful part of my life, my daily life, looking out my window, connecting with nature through my eyes or through a walk, to have that place become somewhere that I'm afraid of, to have nature go from comfort and connection to fear and trepidation has been really strange. Now, if you don't live in Colorado, you might not know what I'm talking about. So briefly, we are here, I am here in Colorado, and we're in a historic drought. The conditions are extremely dry, and every single day we have fires flaring up around the state. All of this on the heels of the incredibly devastating Marshall Fire that burned in the middle of the winter at a time that people didn't think fires would happen. Today, tomorrow, we're expecting 20 to 30 mile per hour winds with 40 mile per hour gusts and no chance of precipitation. It's a weird and uncanny time. It's a strange moment. Those are the words that come from me. Strange and uncanny, and yet it's what we've all known is coming when we look at what scientists have been telling us about climate change and the cycles that are ahead, and now they're here. They're not in the future, they're right now. And so I'm out here today and speaking to you to share a little bit of my process around that as a way to process myself, but also as a branch, a gift to anyone else who's dealing with these feelings. So nature has been a comforter, and now it's something that I'm feeling a little afraid of. And there's probably always been a little bit of both, right? I'm a human being, and that's what it is to be a human, to be alive. It's to be both joyful to be alive and a little bit scared about the whole thing as well, given the inevitable death part of that whole situation. And so that's coming up for me in this moment, facing death and destruction. And what does that mean? What does that mean to me as a human being, but also as a mother? But for right now, I'm shifting my perspective on nature. So I've noticed that instead of coming out here and walking in this beautiful natural space, I've been staying inside a lot more and feeling really closed and sort of checking my phone and looking at the weather and looking out the window at nature, but not being in it and not touching it. And so one of the things I'm doing right now that's really helping me is just walking out the door. Walking out the door, putting the phone away, touching the plants, seeing the life that is coming, that is here, even though there's a drought. And I encourage you to do that if you're feeling some of these same feelings that I'm bringing up. Go for a walk, maybe by yourself, maybe with a friend. I also garden, and I hadn't been gardening because it's been windy and just, I don't know, it's just been strange, and I hadn't wanted to go outside. And then a couple of days ago I planted my garden, and I dug my fingers into that soil, and there it was, the soil, that same reliable soil right there. Seeds planted, And I know those roots are sprouting down into the ground to grow up high, rooting to rise. These cycles are still here happening, even though they're a little strange right now. The second piece that has come to me as I've been working with my own feelings around the natural world and how to just continue to be here and be present in my life and my kids' lives is something that a dear graduate school professor, Aaron Trick, shared with me in the desert. Aaron actually has since died. He died in an avalanche a few years ago. So if anyone who knew and loved Aaron is watching, his lessons are still reverberating through my life years and years later. I was camping in the desert with Aaron through a graduate school program on a backpacking trip, and they also were and still are in a drought. And it was very intense and kind of an oppressive feeling for me. And I remember sitting under the stars on a still night, very warm, Aaron saying, yeah, there's a drought, but do you see all the life around you? Do you see these plants and how they've adapted to this dryness? And do you see what's working? Was what I took from him that night. And he's been coming back to me, and those words have been coming back to me to look at what's working. So to look at what's working in your own life, but also in the natural world around you. And within that is the reminder that there are big forces at play, and those forces are not all bad. There is a tipping point that we're reaching here, and that tipping point needs to be reached so that everyone wakes up and starts to make change. That's all I've got today, and I'm going to make a commitment to keep checking in here because I know I'm not alone in what I'm experiencing, and I hope that what I have to say is of use to you or someone else today.